Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision. Before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of the business. It is a dropshipping business created in August 2019 in the kitchenware and food and beverages niches. The average monthly revenue for the business is $51,401 and makes an average of $5,129 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are the domain and all site content and files, the employee contracts, supplier contracts and relationships, Pinterest social media account, and an email list with over 300 subscribers. For everyone listening, you can visit the empireflippers.com/marketplace URL and search for listing 57358 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that's a brief overview of the business for sale. Let's hear from the seller with me today. So welcome to the show, Zach, and how are you doing today?
Yeah, hey Brandon, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's really great to have you on the call today and speak to you a little bit about your background in building this business. But why don't we get started with the first question? So can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure. So I'm kind of a Zach of all trades. I've had businesses in pretty much every category and modality that you can imagine. So I've had software companies, I've had Amazon companies, now dropshipping, consulting, pretty much you name it. And I love trying new things with this. So most of you guys know me as probably living in Shenzhen, China, working with a lot of the very big Amazon companies out there. And I've sold, tens and tens of millions on Amazon. But when the pandemic hit, I kind of wanted to try something different. Amazon kept kind of putting the squeeze on sellers, and people I know were always getting suspended every day. And I thought, okay, I want to do something where I have a little bit more control and more flexibility to do things the way that I want to do them. And for this business, I met Ernest Epps and Trevor Fenner at Affiliate World, and they made it look pretty fun and easy. I went out with Trevor, and then I saw his phone blowing up the whole night with $2,000 sales. And I'm like, you know what? I want to start this. And the pandemic gave me kind of the perfect excuse to get this going.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see that you saw the opportunity, so you went and seized it, and that's always great to hear that. Now, where did you originally get the idea to start this business? Was there something within this niche that you saw as potential in your earlier stages when you were growing the other website monetizations, or was this just shot in the dark at something you thought that would be a great opportunity?
I'm not necessarily, even though people would think I am very data-driven about what I get into. I kind of take more of a shotgun approach. So I launched about 5 or 6 sites. And then this is the one that immediately started to take off. And I liked it so much more compared to the other type of dropshipping sites that I was running, because in this niche, it's a much higher quality of customer. It's either contractors or people that are buying these products for their second or third homes or for tenants. So they're not quite as price sensitive. The products are more standardized. And also we get people like Netflix and Hyatt and stuff buying from us, which is really cool. Versus some of the other niches that I was running where I wasn't really equipped to answer any of the questions because the customers would just ask me just crazy stuff on a daily basis that I had no idea, right? They would be like, for example, for a dog thing, is this going to fit my dog? And I had no idea if it was going to fit their dog. I'm not there with their dog and I'm not there with the product. So it was hard to kind of handle some of those niches versus this, which was very easy to kind of systemize the customer support and the customer questions and what people needed. And so as a result, there's also just a lot of demand for this, and it just worked very well from the get-go.
Yeah, it's amazing that you were able to get some of those bigger names that are actually coming into your business and, purchasing these products through the dropshipping monetization you've established. So it's really great to hear that. Awesome to hear that you saw that as an opportunity in the earlier stages as well, too. Now, if the business is doing so great at this time, why is it that you've decided you'd like to sell the business instead of continuing to grow it?
Yeah, so all the questions I want to sell it have actually nothing to do with the business. Like right now, I'm traveling South America, and I kind of just want to focus on that. I have another software that has just finished development and is ready to rock and roll as well, and that's for the Chinese market. So if I'm running this for the Western time zone and then I'm running Chinese stuff, I don't know when I'm going to sleep. So that's one thing, because for a while when I was running this business, I was in Thailand and I wanted to be more on American time. So now I'm down in Mexico. But at some point, in a couple months, I'll probably go back to Asia, and I'd rather have this business in the hands of someone that doesn't need to stay up at night if they need to do something for it. I think for me, that was the biggest challenge running this business. And for anyone in North America, that's going to be no problem at all. So that's the main thing. I have a software ready to go. I want to be on more Asia time zones, and I'm traveling. And honestly, I don't want to, slog through for a little bit on this. I want to just kind of have fun in Latin America for a little bit.
Yeah, I completely understand. I'm not far from you, I guess, down in here in Brazil, so kind of on the similar time zone as well. But yeah, I completely understand. You need to have some time to sleep, and you can't be running two businesses on two different time zones at the same time. It just doesn't make sense. Now, was there anything that you learned while growing this business, or maybe something that you tried that seemed to really work?
The biggest thing is honestly, the things that affected sales were really small tweaks to the design that immediately skyrocketed everything. I mean, I think some of the big tweaks I made, just not having the menu be like a sticky menu, changing the aspect ratio of some of the images so it works better. I've done a lot of custom code and development with the site. And some of those things just immediately shot sales up. And so those small tweaks really do matter. A lot of other things is just how to rapidly scale and think at a large scale as far as adding products, right? Across my whole portfolio, I have more than, 10 or 15,000 products. And if I uploaded everything I have access to, it'd be like $20,000 or $30,000 per products. So figuring out how to do processes at that scale instead of some of the Amazon stuff I'm used to where you're, making each product absolutely perfect is a very different kind of mindset.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's great that you've been able to kind of take that Amazon experience and implement it into this business model. And it seemed to have worked out great for you as well through the years of your experience. And on the flip side of that, was there anything that you tried with this business and it just didn't give you those returns that you were expecting?
Yeah, quite a few. I mean, things like, for example, Pinterest ads, although they're great for kind of SEO, the buying intent is just not there quite as much. Some of the retargeting stuff I didn't work quite as well. And certain maybe niches or suppliers didn't work like how I had thought that they might. However, in general, things are working quite well, and things that I thought at the beginning would be hard to do, like hiring someone to do all the phone calls that need to be made for this business. I thought that was going to be very, very difficult. And less than 2 weeks, I was able to get myself mostly free for the business by being able to train someone on that.
Okay. Now, with this being a dropshipping business, where would you say that the majority of your traffic is coming from? Is most of it coming through organic search or with paid traffic coming into the business? Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, most of it's coming through paid traffic, mostly Google Ads. And it's really an incredible platform with Google Shopping because you are able to advertise thousands and thousands of products without needing to come up with individual ad campaigns for a product, right? You can upload your entire feed and make optimizations on that level, which is very powerful because reaching people right when they are looking to buy, right? Because most of my campaigns target people looking for the specific brand or the specific model or something very, very specific like the size of the product. And that way, I'm really only attracting people to my website that are ready to buy. And my advertising costs are quite low in comparison, to what they could be. For every dollar I spend on ads, I roughly get about 30 back, which is crazy. in comparison to pretty much any other platform.
No, absolutely. That's really great to hear those kind of numbers. And are you doing anything else outside of paid traffic in order to bring more customers into your business in terms of marketing? I noticed you have an email list and with the Pinterest account as well. But yeah, what is your marketing strategy for this business?
Honestly, I have a lot of stuff going on all the time, so I haven't been able to set up maybe some of the channels that I should have set up. Stuff like the way that I'm using email is very underutilized. Stuff with Pinterest and stuff can be much better. But I think the two biggest kind of pathways to growth, or maybe three, adding more Google search ads in addition to Google Shopping. It would also be focusing a lot more on SEO. If you have a strong SEO background, this could be a good business. And then also just direct outreach to certain types of B2B customers that would be very interested in this. And there's quite a few.
Yeah, that's a great roadmap for a potential buyer that's listening to this call to really see maybe the future growth with this business. And that kind of ultimately answered my next question as far as the ways you would try and grow it.
Oh, well, there's a lot of, for example, quick wins that you could do with this business almost immediately, because I wasn't really thinking I was going to sell this business until like last month. And so there's a lot of room for optimization that could immediately add some profit. For example, for the biggest supplier, I'm paying a 3% credit card fee on these orders, and we spent probably more than $500,000 on them. All you would need to do to add 3% to the profit margin is to open up a credit account with them. And that would be an immediate, huge boost. And there's tons of other optimizations like that would be quite easy to make. Another thing with this kind of business and this dropshipping model, the orders that have been counted on the P&L are only the orders that actually got sent out. We actually make a lot more orders every month. The problem is that they are just not in stock, and the supply chain has been pretty rough this year. As soon as that gets fixed or improves even slightly, and a lot of suppliers are doing a lot better now than they were throughout most of the pandemic, that's going to immediately add a massive amount of profit to the business. Like, for example, so far this month, we've had about almost $80,000 in orders, but about $30,000 in cancellations because of just stuff is not going to be in stock for a month or two. And so once this stuff kind of cools down and things will be more in stock, that will easily add an extra $200,000 plus a year of sales without any extra work from the business owner.
Yeah, it's really great to hear that, things once they do stabilize can ultimately go into a, upward trajectory as well for the business, and already having this roadmap, as I had mentioned earlier, for the buyer as well is also a great opportunity for them. Now, as the business stands now, Zach, so how would you describe the amount of work or the types of work and tasks that you're performing on the business currently?
Yeah, so I don't want to sound too bad, but currently I haven't been doing too much. I've been focused on kind of the software and some other stuff. My team, will handle any order that comes in or any sort of customer service issue. It only comes to me if it's like a very, very serious issue, if a product arrived broken, or if there's something else that's complicated. For the most part, I do ads. But the thing with Google, and for those that might be coming from, we're thinking of dropshipping as kind of like a low ticket thing instead of selling like, several $1,000 products, is Google Ads is incredibly consistent. There's not as much work you need to do on a day-by-day basis. And so for the most part, if I leave the ads alone for, 2 or 3 months, I'm still getting sales and it's still absolutely fine. So in the last month, I haven't been doing too much. My staff is calling new suppliers, handling the orders, handling the customer service, and I'm just kind of hanging out in Mexico.
I love it. Now, you mentioned this a couple times now with staff helping with customer support and the other maintenance items that you had just mentioned. Will that staff be continuing on with the new owner, or will they have to be continuing on with you in your software adventure?
So because my next thing is more focused on Chinese, I'm willing to kind of let go of these staff. One of them, Mark, is easily the best Filipino employee I've found in my entire life. In about the last 2 years, I don't think he's missed a single day. I feel like he reads my mind most of the time. Like when he's talking about an order, he's like I'll wake up and he's like, "Hey Zach, this was already out of stock. I made this email with like 5 potential alternatives. Here's the person's phone number. Here's their thing. Like, do you want me to send this?" He's very well trained and can handle most of the operations pretty much of the business. And then the other person I have is mostly for phone calls, and she's pretty decent at that, but it's possible as well if you want to have your own staff for that. So they're very good, and I really enjoy working with them. They log in on time, they don't really miss days, and everything just kind of gets done as needed.
Yeah, it's the perfect scenario, I guess, for any outsourced help that you have with your business. It's awesome to hear that. What do you feel are maybe some of the skills or maybe some of the knowledge that a potential buyer should have prior to taking on this business?
Yeah, so I think anyone taking this over should be moderately familiar with Shopify. They should have a basic understanding of online business, maybe how to ship a product to a customer. Don't worry, Mark can handle that. Shouldn't be afraid to maybe hop on the phone sometimes. If you need to hop on a call with a supplier and try and get better prices or figure out what's going on, that's a good skill set just to kind of understand how these different pieces of business kind of intersect. Google Ads would be a plus, but the maintenance and how to do it is quite simple. And overall, people that have success are people that are going to be able to look at the business and figure out, what costs can we cut? How can we boost sales? How can we make this work? And kind of systematically approach the business in order to get it even to that next level.
Yeah, it's a really great mention again, as far as, kind of stepping to the strengths of where the business is already excelling at. And then ultimately what you had mentioned, cutting some of those costs to push the revenue even further. Now, for our buyers that are really digging deep into this business and really considering this business as an acquisition, what do you feel are maybe some of the potential risks associated with this business that they should be aware of?
Yeah, so, I saw you guys mention some risks on the listing that I don't really think are risks at all. For example, we still have so much room on Google Ads to scale, or even if the costs double or triple on Google Ads, we're still going to be profitable. That's how crazy it is. The only serious risk to this business is the supply chain. And that's why I think if someone takes this over, January and February are kind of slower months for appliances, and you have the Chinese New Year crunch, stuff like that. But from March all the way to December, it's quite good, and a big, strong peak in the summer months because stuff like outdoor kitchen, home building, and contractors, that's when they're mostly buying. But the biggest risks are mostly either increased freight costs going forward or just these products going completely out of stock. But luckily, we have enough products and enough alternatives for just about everything that we're able to switch people over to things that are in stock.
Yeah, it's great that you've already established that safety net, and it shows also with your team that you had mentioned earlier already having like a sense of what you're thinking ahead of schedule. So that's always great to see that. So yeah, just a few more, I guess, final housekeeping questions for you here, Zach. So how much support are you willing to offer potential buyers? Are you going with the typical 30 days of email and Skype support, or did you have something in addition that you would like to add on to that?
Yeah, one thing I'd love to do is to go through and either me or Mark will write SOPs for most operations of the business. I'm definitely willing to offer almost as much support as is necessary, as long as someone gives me, a 24 hours heads up. I'm willing to do calls for, at least 2 months, and I'd be open on kind of a consulting basis after that if people have some other questions or some other issues. Overall, it's a fairly easy business to run, but it does require developing sort of a deep knowledge of the market to see different niches that you can kind of grow into, other than just this main niche where you are getting tons and tons of different suppliers for kind of shoulder niches. So things that are kind of very similar or a similar customer base. I think we could easily add an extra 10,000 products to this website very easily. So I'm willing to offer quite a bit of support. Check the listing for more details, or if you get unlocked and have a call with me, we can definitely work out some sort of arrangement.
Yeah, it's always great to hear that added support and you wanting to see the business continue on with the new owner and ultimately see it succeed down the road. And I always like to hear that. Now, are you willing to commit to a non-compete, meaning once the deal is done, you'll stay out of this specific niche?
I am, as long as there is like a time limit on the non-compete. It can't be like in perpetuity. Something like a 2 or 3 year non-compete, I think would be quite fair.
Yeah, I believe that's the terms that we have set forward. So yeah, it's always great to hear that. And are you also open to negotiating something like an earnout where you'll receive a large upfront portion of the sales price and then smaller payments closing out the deal after that?
Overall, I think this business is priced quite fairly. And I think what I'm mostly looking for is at least 80% of the deal price in cash with potentially, a 10 to 20% earnout or a stability payment later. But I think that this moment is priced at a way where the buyer will do very well with it. And overall, I'm not looking for mostly very complicated deal structure or a lot of earnouts. I think this can be a quite simple handover with more of a cash deal.
Yeah, and this is always something that can be discussed further during the negotiation period and once buyers have unlocked the listing and set up a buyer-seller call with you as well too. But yeah, that's great to hear that. Now, just a few more last questions for you here, Zach. So putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think that your business is worth buying?
Yeah, so I think if you're looking for mostly kind of hands-off business that is going to continue to grow or is in a position for success, I think that this is priced very well, because I think that once supply chain issues do improve even slightly, this business will be significantly more profitable. I think taking just a couple of the optimization steps, I think you can really increase the net profit margin significantly. And I think there's a lot of room for it to grow.
Yeah, it's always great to hear that, especially with this foundation in this business that you've created. I'm sure our potential buyers are also excited about this opportunity as well, too. And is there anything else that you'd like to share that I might have missed during this call, Zach?
Not at the moment, but I love talking with entrepreneurs from all over. If you guys have questions about this business, just reach out through Empire Flippers and let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess with that being said, I think this is the perfect place to wrap up the call here. So thank you so much, Zach, for jumping on the call and joining us today. And really excited to hear about your story and how you built this business. And I'm looking forward to seeing it getting purchased in the near future by the right buyer.
Yeah, it's going good. It's a lot more interest than I might have thought so far. It's moving quite well.
Yeah, it's always great to hear. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Yeah, sounds good, Brendan. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. All right, everyone. So thanks for listening. To learn more and to see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 57358. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.